look at the lollipop. Can you jump for it? Jump, baby, jump. You almost got it.
Junior, jump. Jump downstairs. I will give you sweet. Stella's voice dripped with false sweetness as she dangled the colorful candy above the balcony railing. The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the empty compound below. Nobody was around that lonely Saturday afternoon. All the neighbors had gone out, leaving the three-story building eerily quiet except for the distant sound of Lagos traffic humming in the background. Stella smiled wickedly as she watched the innocent 6-month-old baby reach his tiny hands toward the treat, his round face lighting up with innocent joy. "Nobody will save you today, Junior," she whispered coldly in her mind, cruel laughter bubbling up from somewhere dark inside her chest. The baby cooed happily, completely unaware that his own aunt, his mother's trusted sister, was about to destroy everything his parents had worked so hard to build. But to understand how we arrived at this horrifying moment, we need to go back. Back to the beginning. Back to when Vera still trusted her younger sister with everything she had, including her precious son's life. How it started. The morning had begun like any other in Vera's modest 2-bedroom flat on the 3rd floor of the building in Surulere, Lagos. The smell of beans cooking on the small gas stove mixed with the sound of morning traders calling out their wares from the street below. Bread sellers pushed their glass carts along the potholed road, shouting their prices in Yoruba and Pidgin English. Danfo buses honked aggressively as they navigated the narrow streets packed with early morning commuters. Inside the small apartment, Vera sat in her living room wearing a faded blue Ankara wrapper with yellow geometric patterns and a cream-colored cotton blouse that had seen better days. Her natural black hair was pulled back in a simple tight bun. 6-month-old Junior lay on the worn brown sofa beside her, his round belly rising and falling with each peaceful breath as he watched the ceiling fan spin slowly above them. The television played a Nollywood movie, but Vera wasn't really watching. Her mind was elsewhere, her thoughts heavy as she calculated and recalculated how she would stretch the little money Patrick had left for housekeeping this month. Patrick, her husband, worked as a junior accountant at a medium-sized firm in Victoria Island. His salary wasn't much, but they managed. They had waited 10 long years for Junior to arrive. 10 years of prayers, tears, hospital visits, traditional medicine, and mounting pressure from Patrick's family, who kept asking when Vera would finally give them a grandchild. Some relatives had even suggested Patrick should consider taking a second wife, whispering their poisonous advice at family gatherings when they thought Vera couldn't hear. But Patrick had refused. He loved Vera deeply and believed God would answer their prayers in his own time. And finally, after a decade of waiting, Junior came. Their miracle baby. Their answered prayer. The joy that had seemed impossible for so long. When Vera held him for the first time in the hospital, tears streaming down her face, she had whispered a prayer of gratitude so deep it came from the very core of her being. Patrick had wept openly beside her hospital bed, his strong shoulders shaking with emotion as he thanked God for this precious gift. Now, 6 months later, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm despite their financial struggles. Vera stayed home to care for Junior, while Patrick worked long hours trying to provide for his small family. They lived simply, but they lived with love, gratitude, and the kind of contentment that money cannot buy. Their home might have been modest, with peeling paint on some walls and furniture that had seen better days, but it was filled with laughter, baby giggles, and the warmth of parents who had waited so long for this blessing. Vera would spend her days feeding Junior, singing to him, playing with his tiny fingers and toes, marveling at every smile, every sound, every small milestone. She would cook simple meals, wash clothes by hand when the washing machine broke down, and manage their household with the little money they had. Sometimes she would stand at the balcony during Junior's nap time, looking down at the busy street below, watching other mothers carrying babies on their backs in colorful wrappers, and she would smile, feeling grateful that she finally belonged to that sisterhood of motherhood that had eluded her for so long. That Saturday morning, as Vera sat in her living room with Junior sleeping peacefully beside her, she heard a sudden knock on the door. Her heart jumped with surprise. She wasn't expecting anyone today. Patrick had gone to the office for some weekend overtime work, desperate to earn a little extra money to cover Junior's upcoming vaccination appointment at the private clinic. They couldn't afford to wait for the long queues at the government hospital, and Patrick wanted only the best for his son. Vera stood up quickly, smoothing down her wrapper as she walked to the door, wondering who it could be at this early hour on a Saturday when most people were still sleeping or just waking up. When she pulled open the heavy wooden door, her eyes widened with genuine surprise and joy. Standing there with a bright smile and a small bag slung over her shoulder was Stella, her younger sister. The two sisters hadn't seen each other in almost 3 months, not since a minor disagreement at their mother's birthday celebration. Vera had nearly forgotten about that small argument, but seeing Stella now brought genuine happiness flooding back into her heart. "Stella," she screamed with excitement, her voice echoing slightly in the corridor. She lunged forward and wrapped her arms tightly around her younger sister, pulling her into a warm embrace. "Ah, Junior, see your auntie is here," she called out excitedly toward the living room, her face glowing with sisterly affection. She stepped back, still holding Stella's shoulders, examining her with the loving scrutiny only an older sister can provide. "You've lost weight, oh. Have you been eating well? Come inside. Come inside." Stella smiled sweetly, though something flickered briefly in her eyes before disappearing behind a mask of warmth. She stepped into the modest apartment, her gaze sweeping quickly across the worn furniture, the faded curtains, the small television balanced on a wooden stand, the baby toys scattered across the thin carpet. Everything about the room spoke of financial struggle, of a young family making do with very little, stretching every naira to its absolute limit. But Vera didn't notice her sister's assessing gaze. She was too happy, too relieved to have family company on this lonely Saturday when Patrick was at work and all the neighbors seemed to have disappeared. Junior lay on the sofa, now awake and staring at the newcomer with wide, curious eyes. His little legs kicked gently against the cushion, and a small bubble of saliva formed at the corner of his tiny pink lips. Stella walked slowly toward the baby, her smile widening as she approached. "I just came to see my sister's son," she said sweetly, her voice dripping with honey. "I came to see Junior." She bent down and carefully lifted the 6-month-old baby into her arms, cradling him gently against her chest. Junior gurgled happily, his small hands reaching up to touch her face with innocent trust. Stella rocked him slowly from side to side, playing with his soft little fingers, cooing at him in the way adults instinctively do with babies. To anyone watching, it was a picture of perfect aunt and nephew bonding, a beautiful family moment filled with love and warmth. But unknown to Vera, as she stood there smiling with her heart full of gratitude and sisterly love, there was something dark growing behind Stella's seemingly affectionate actions. Vera hurried toward the small kitchen area, her wrapper swishing around her legs as she moved. "Stella, what do you want to eat? I cooked a goosey soup yesterday, and there's some rice left from last night. Or should I make you fresh akara? I can fry some quickly if you're hungry." Her voice was cheerful, the voice of a woman who had found joy again after years of waiting and hoping. She pulled open the small refrigerator, mentally calculating what she could offer her sister from their limited supplies. Patrick wouldn't mind if she used a little extra to feed Stella. Family was family after all, and in their culture, hospitality to relatives was sacred, even when money was tight. Stella continued playing with Junior, bouncing him gently on her hip as she responded in that same sweet voice. "Don't stress yourself, sister. I'm fine. I just wanted to see how you and Junior are doing. It's been too long since we spent time together." But even as she spoke these kind words, something cold and calculating was happening behind her eyes, something Vera was too trusting and too happy to notice. If you're loving this story already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next. And don't forget to comment below what country you're watching from and your local time right now. Your engagement means everything to us, and I love reading where all my amazing viewers are joining from around the world. "Thank God you came," Vera said with genuine relief in her voice. Her face brightened even more as an idea formed in her mind. "You know, I was just thinking about how I needed to go to Balogan Market to buy Junior some new clothes. He's growing so fast, and the ones he has are getting too small." but I've been worried about taking him out in this hot sun, and I can't leave him home alone. Thank God you're here now." She smiled widely, completely unaware of the danger she was about to place her son in. Stella forced herself to smile back, though inside her chest, something dark and twisted was churning. This was working out even better than she had planned. "But please," Vera continued, her voice taking on a slightly serious tone as she walked closer to her sister. "Just be very careful with him. Don't let him go near the balcony at all. You know how babies can be curious, and I'm always worried he might somehow get too close to the railing." Stella's smile widened, but there was something unnatural about it now. Something that should have set off alarm bells, but didn't. "Don't worry, sister," she said softly, her voice smooth as oil. "I'll take very good care of Junior. You can take all the time you need at the market. I'm not going anywhere." She looked down at the baby in her arms, and for just a split second, something cruel flashed across her face before disappearing again behind the mask of caring auntie. Vera's heart relaxed completely. She felt the tension drain from her shoulders as relief washed over her. Having Stella here was truly a blessing from God. She quickly went to her bedroom to change into something more appropriate for going out to the busy market. She pulled on a slightly better wrapper and blouse, tied a simple headscarf around her hair, grabbed her worn black handbag, and slipped her feet into her old slippers. When she emerged from the bedroom ready to leave, Junior suddenly started crying. His small face scrunched up, and tears began rolling down his chubby cheeks. His little legs kicked frantically as if he was trying to communicate something urgent, something important that his infant mind couldn't put into words. Vera's mother instinct kicked in immediately. She rushed over and touched her baby's soft cheeks gently, her face creasing with concern. "Shh, shh. It's okay, my love," she cooed softly, trying to calm him down. "Stay with Auntie Stella. Mommy will be back very soon. I promise." His crying intensified, his small arms reaching desperately toward his mother as if begging her not to leave him behind. Some deep, primal infant instinct seemed to be screaming danger, warning him that something terrible was about to happen. But Vera, like most mothers, interpreted it simply as normal baby fussiness, as the natural anxiety babies feel when their mothers prepare to leave. She kissed his forehead tenderly, breathing in that sweet baby smell that all mothers treasure. Then she looked at Stella one more time, her face serious. "If he cries too much, or if anything seems wrong, please call me immediately on my phone. I'll come back right away." Stella nodded slowly, her expression perfectly composed and reassuring. "I will, sister. Don't worry about anything. Just take your time at the market." The moment Vera stepped out the door and her footsteps faded down the staircase, Stella's entire demeanor changed dramatically. The warm smile slid off her face like a mask being removed. Her eyes went cold and hard as stone, her jaw clenched tightly. She looked down at Junior, who had stopped crying and was now staring up at her with innocent, trusting eyes. Without any care or gentleness, she walked over to the sofa and roughly dropped him onto the cushion. His small head hit the surface harder than it should have, though the soft cushion prevented serious injury. Junior immediately started crying again, his tiny voice filling the small apartment with distress. But Stella didn't care at all. She didn't pick him up to comfort him. She didn't check if he was hurt. Instead, she walked away toward the door, pulled it shut, and locked it from the inside with a decisive click. Then she stood there for a moment, her mind working through her twisted plan, making sure every detail was in place before she proceeded to the next step. She descended the stairs slowly, casually, her face now wearing a neutral expression as if she was just taking a simple walk around the compound. One by one, she checked each corner of the building carefully. She walked past apartment 2A on the second floor and knocked softly, pretending she was looking for someone. No answer. The family had gone out. She moved to apartment 2B and did the same thing. Empty. She went downstairs to the ground floor where 3 more families lived. She knocked on each door, asking innocent questions about non-existent people, just to confirm that absolutely nobody was home. Satisfied that the entire building was empty except for herself and Junior upstairs, she allowed herself a small, wicked smile. Perfect. Everything was falling into place exactly as she had planned. She quickly left the compound and hurried down the street to a small provision shop at the corner. She purchased a large piece of colorful candy, the kind that would catch a baby's attention immediately. The shop owner smiled at her kindly, assuming she was buying a treat for her child. Stella paid and hurried back to the building, her heart pounding with dark anticipation. When she re-entered the apartment upstairs, Junior was still on the floor where he had rolled off the sofa, crying, helplessly, his small body shaking with distress. His tiny hands waved in the air as if searching for his mother's familiar touch. Tears streamed down his chubby cheeks, and his face was red from crying so hard for so long without anyone comforting him. Stella stared down at him coldly, unmoved by his suffering. "Today I will teach your mother a lesson she will never forget in her entire life," she whispered darkly, her voice filled with venom. This wasn't about the innocent baby at all. This was about something far deeper, far more twisted. This was about jealousy, resentment, competition, and years of bitterness that had been growing like a cancer in Stella's heart. She slowly brought out the candy and held it up where Junior could see it through his tears. The colorful wrapper caught his attention immediately, and his crying began to soften. His innocent eyes lit up with childlike curiosity and desire. He stretched out his tiny hands toward the candy, opening and closing his little fingers in that universal baby gesture that means "give me." Stella laughed, but it wasn't a warm, loving laugh. It was cold, unfeeling, almost demonic. "Not so easy, my dear little nephew," she said mockingly. "If you want this sweet candy, then we're going to play a little game first. Would you like that? Would you like to play Auntie Stella's game?" Junior, understanding nothing of her words but responding to her tone and the sight of the candy, smiled faintly through his tears. He had no idea that his aunt, his own blood relative, the sister his mother trusted completely, was about to do something unthinkable, something that would change his life and his family forever. Stella bent down and lifted him up from the floor, this time with a gentleness that was purely functional, not affectionate. She carried him across the small living room, past the television still playing its Nollywood drama, past the modest dining table, toward the sliding glass door that led to the small balcony. Their apartment was on the 3rd floor, the highest floor of the building, which meant the balcony overlooked a 3-story drop to the concrete ground below. Stella slid the door open and stepped out into the hot afternoon sun. The balcony was small, barely big enough for 2 people to stand comfortably. It had a simple metal railing painted white, though the paint was chipping in several places from years of exposure to Lagos's harsh sun and rain. A few potted plants sat in the corner, herbs that Vera used for cooking. Stella placed Junior carefully on a small plastic chair that Vera sometimes used when hanging laundry to dry. The baby's head barely reached above the railing, but he could see through the bars to the ground far below. Stella positioned him so he was standing on the chair, his small hands gripping the railing for balance. "Jump, Junior," she said with that evil grin spreading across her face again. "Jump and you'll see Mommy down there. Jump and I'll give you this sweet candy. See?" She dangled the candy just out of his reach, moving it back and forth to keep his attention focused on it. Junior looked down at the ground below, his infant eyes trying to make sense of the distance and the tiny figures of people walking on the street. He didn't understand height or danger. He didn't know that a fall from here would be deadly. He only knew he wanted the candy his aunt was showing him. When Stella saw that Junior wasn't jumping on his own, wasn't moving toward the edge despite her coaxing, she made her final terrible decision. Her face hardened with determination. She placed one hand on his small back, just between his shoulder blades, feeling the warmth of his tiny body, the innocent trust that still lingered despite everything. And then, with one firm push, she sent him over the railing. Time seemed to slow down. Junior's small body tilted forward, tipped over the edge, and fell. There was no scream, no cry of terror, just silence, the awful, horrible silence of a 6-month-old baby plummeting 3 floors to the concrete ground below. The fall lasted only seconds, but those seconds stretched out like an eternity. Then came the sound. A terrible, sickening thud as Junior's tiny body hit the ground. His small form lay crumpled on the concrete, face down, completely still. Blood began to seep slowly from his nose, forming a small dark pool on the ground beneath his head. His arms and legs were bent at unnatural angles. He didn't move, he didn't cry, he didn't make any sound at all. Stella looked down from the balcony, staring at the scene she had created with her own hands. A normal person would have been horrified, would have screamed, would have run down immediately to help, to call for an ambulance, to do something, anything. But Stella just stood there, smiling. The smile of someone who had just accomplished exactly what they set out to do. But apparently, even this wasn't enough for her twisted mind. As if the fall itself wasn't enough to ensure Junior's death, as if she needed to be absolutely certain that this innocent baby wouldn't survive to expose what she had done. Stella bent down and picked up a large stone that was sitting in the corner of the balcony. It was heavy, rough, the kind of stone used to prop open doors during windy days. She lifted it high above her head, aimed carefully, and threw it down with all her strength. The stone fell through the air and landed with another horrible thud directly on Junior's small, still body. She wanted to be absolutely sure. She wanted there to be no possibility of survival. After confirming that Junior wasn't moving at all, wasn't breathing, wasn't showing any signs of life,